Sisterhood of the Traveling Brush, and today I'm coming to you from our motorhome, and we are in Red Bay, Alabama. So the brush is traveling right now, and I'm ready to paint. So I'm going to share with you today first what all I'm going to use, and then I probably won't talk much during the painting. I can come back and voice over if I need to, but we'll look at just the painting at that time. But I wanted to share everything I'm using, and I hope that you'll paint along with me. Okay, we are first using our color wheel, and I know the main flower that I plan on painting today is going to be a sunflower. So I used my color wheel. See the little pointy part? I pointed that at the yellow orange because that's going to sort of be the main color, and I want to look at what colors are complementary to that. So if you look at your color wheel, these two arrows here will point to the best colors that'll look good with that. And that's going to be your teals and sort of your red violets. So red violet, my favorite color filler flower that's that color is called the wax flower. So the wax flower will be our filler. The sunflower will be our focal flower, and the blue-green is what we're going to start with for our background. I don't know if we'll change that later. We'll see as we go along. But that's what we're going to start with, and the background always shows a little bit through. So that's going to be the main colors. And because I'm doing a round sunflower, I'm also going to put it in a round face, I'm going with a square canvas. This is a 12 by 12. This is one of the gallery wraps, the thick ones. It's from Michael's. And I'm going to use golden fluid acrylics. This is all I have with me is my, Masterson Stay Wet Mani palette. And I didn't bring any new things. I just wet the sponge that's inside, but this is all dried on. And so we'll put our paint on here so that I can close it up and use it some more on another painting tomorrow. And Mr. Bottle, sell these on my website. And then just the water brushes, mostly big ones, mostly like 1 inchers. And then I'm gonna, this little thing from the Dollar Tree, as I decide to use it. And then I'm just using golden fluid acrylic, so it'll be really thin paint and dry fast. And the colors I got out for this are titanium white, to make things opaque and to lighten them. I'll probably use this burnt umber light for the shadow, and the raw sienna, or a mixture of the two, for my table that it'll be sitting on. I got out 4 yellows, and this is if you haven't tried the fluid acrylics before and you want to, the easiest way is to get these small ones. They're perfect for traveling with, and they vary in price, but you can get starter kits if you want. I'll put a link to my Blick account, affiliate link below if you want to order these, and that would be fantastic and helpful to me. But I got out yellow oxide. Who knows how you pronounce this? Midazoline yellow medium. Darylide yellow and cad yellow medium hue. We know there's going to be leaves and stems, so we have sap green hue and green gold, 2 of my very favorites. Another titanium white. And I got out the teal, which I love. We're going to start with that on our background. And then I couldn't decide how I would best make the red violet for the wax flower, but I got out Pyro Red. I was going to do the Pyro Red Light, but it's a little more orange. I'm going to use this one, and I can't decide whether I'm going to use the primary cyan or the ultramarine blue, so I'll probably use both. And that's just to create our purples. And I think that's all as far as the prep phase. I got out some satin glazing liquid just in case I need it for the background, and some clear gesso for, who knows, just in case. And here's a small one. What is this? Here's a burnt sienna. I may use that instead of the raw sienna for my table, or a mixture of the two. And my handy dandy water holder. So I'll be right back with you when I can get the camera turned around and the canvas ready. Thanks for joining me. These golden fluid acrylics go a long way. They're pretty highly pigmented, but I didn't put a lot of paint on there. So right here I'm going to put on a little bit of glaze, and you can see how that extends the paint enough for me to finish the entire front of the canvas and all four sides. Here I'm using the raw sienna, one of my very favorites, to sort of put places for where I want everything. The vase, the table, the sunflower, and things like that, and just to sort of mark them in as a guide to make the rest of the painting easier. I'm just deciding on placement here for the focal flower and where I want everything to be. Obviously you don't want it to be in the middle, so I'm sort of visualizing the 4 quadrants and trying to decide the size and shape of everything. So that's my planning process. Then I decided to get some of the burnt umber light, my darkest kind of dark brown that I'm going to use, and to fill in sort of the eye of the sunflower and the shadows and some of the darker areas, trying to work kind of from the dark to the light. I'm deciding where my sun and my light is going to come in from this as well. So it's going to come in from that upper right hand corner, and you'll see as we progress that we stay a little lighter coming from that direction and a little darker down in the other direction. I'm using about a 3/4 inch flat brush here and just going in now with my yellows, starting with the darkest and going to the lightest, and just randomly putting the strokes in to form my sunflower and have it have some depth to it. We're not going for anything realistic, we're going for more abstract, but we do want all the depth of the colors to come through. And I used that same color to begin with for my table to set the depth for that. I'm just using my different shades of the yellows and browns, the umbers and siennas and all that, to give a little bit of sort of texture to the table, to where it'll have a little more light on the lighter side and a little bit darker in the shaded area of the darker side. I went with a little bit of a smaller brush here. This one's maybe a little over a ½ inch, and now we're going to go into our greens, starting with our darker, same as with everything else, and then going back with our lighter. More light on our bright side, more dark on our shadow side. I keep reminding myself through here to use the far end tip of these long brushes because I'm wanting to be looser and not too tight. So you can sort of catch that as you go through there. I'll stop and look at it for a second. I'm like, nope, you want this to be loose. Get back farther toward the end of that brush and you have less control over it, so it'll be a whole lot looser and a whole lot more abstract than it would be if you were like a pencil right up there on the top. But after, you know, so many years of holding them that way, it does become natural, and I'll have to catch myself and get back on the other end of it again. These flowers, or these are the sort of the branches that go with the wax flowers that I'm going to put in here. And it started out with the sienna, and then I'm going to put the darker green and the lighter green, the sap green and the gold green in there as well. More of the lighter on the light side, and then I'm mixing the different colors in for the center of the sunflower as well. Sort of as I go, whatever color is on my brush, I put a little bit of that down into my vase, down into the water. That would be reflections and shadows, and just add more visual interest to it. I about work it to death here in a minute when you get toward the end, trying to make up my mind how to do it and how to see the water level and get the colors that I want in there. But all of that's the process, and each of the colors will show through the layers just a little bit and give it a little more depth. And here we're also starting to add in a few more yellows into the sunflower. On the sunflower, I keep adding more and more lighter and brighter areas on the light side and leaving the darker areas sort of with the colors that are there already, except for maybe toward the center where the sunlight would hit it. And I'm going to put 3 or 4 sort of resemblances of petals coming out of that one side, but it's pretty. You don't have to be very detailed for people to realize that with the yellow around the edge and the big circle eye in the middle that it's going to be a sunflower. These petal shapers that I'm using coming in from the dark colors out toward the sunflower won't stay in there really to be seen, but they will be in the layers and give it a little more depth. It's time to start putting on the little wax flowers, so I'm going to mix my blues and my red to come up with the different shades of the red violet. I'm adding a little of the titanium white in there to make sure I have a darker shade, a medium shade, and a lighter shade to give it a little bit more visual interest. And then I just sort of lay the brush down and crisscross it. I go with about a 1/4 inch flat on this one. we put the darkest of the darks in the center where it would be shaded a little bit, and the lightest of the lights on the very tips on the light side. And then I will go back in a minute with some of the titanium white and put just a dot in the center of the majority of them, just to give a little more interest. I added a little of the titanium white to the yellows to give it a little bit more of a brighter side on the sunny side. And then I will come back in with some of the more muted colors on the darker side. I'm never totally covering up all the different colors underneath. We're always leaving a little bit of those to show through here and there to make it a little more realistic and have a little bit more show through, but all of the strokes are still random. To fill in the negative space on the background, I decided I really did like the teal and I didn't want to change it a whole lot, but I did want to give it a little bit of an interest. So I started out mixing some of the teal with some titanium white and putting that in, and then I decided I may want to add a little tad of yellow to that to mimic where the sun is coming down on it, and then go a little bit deeper on the shadow side. So I played around with that a little bit here, and then I did go from the 1-inch brush down to the 1/4-inch brush to get in between the wax flowers, and I love the sort of smoky effect that that gives closest to the flowers. You can come back at this time and change the shape of your leaves or your sunflower, anything that you want to do, because having the titanium white mixed in there makes it more opaque, so it's definitely going to cover any of those other areas that you don't want showing at this point. I guess I do need to thank my little dog Maybelline for her patience through this. She may have been ready to go for a walk, but she patiently waited on me to paint for a while first. When I made my next batch to go on the shadow side and to go sort of in between the flowers, I used a little more of the teal to make it a little bit darker through there. And then later I'll add a little bit more titanium white to sort of brighten it back up in some areas. all in all, this was a very fun, quick little project. I enjoyed doing it and trying to practice being a little bit looser with my painting. I would love to see yours. Make sure and follow me on social channels. And you can message me with any kind of questions, send me pictures of your projects. I would love to see them. Let me know down in the comments below where you're watching from. I would love to know that information, and I will see you next Thursday with another project. I think I caught it in the video, but I did come back and add the stems back in because I covered them up, some of them up during this water part that I've got going on here, but I did come back in at the end, and you'll see in the photographs at the end, and put my stems back in so they could be seen.